Session items only. The City Council welcomes public input. Members of the public may address the City Council by completing a public comment card and giving it to the City Clerk prior to the meeting. Pursuant to state law, the City Council may not discuss or take action on issues not on the meeting agenda. If you are compensated to communicate with city officials, you may be required to register and/or make certain disclosures as a lobbyist. Please see the City Clerk for additional information. Okay, do we have anyone who wishes to speak?
We do have two speakers.
Okay, our first speaker will be Rich Tarpening, followed by Dan Adams.
All right, hello. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and Dr. Reddy for allowing us this opportunity to address an item in the closed session tonight. I've always respected what you guys do, along with what our fire and police departments do. I know he's not here, but I'd also like to thank Police Chief Reyes and his team who continue to work with the media on coming up with alternative solutions during the scanner shutdown. I believe we all have the same goals in mind: to alert the public with important information and keep families safe by providing timely and accurate details of events that may be occurring. I've been involved with the Valley Media since 1990. I'm currently the assignment manager at News Channel 3. I've covered thousands of stories over the years. Many of those have had lasting positive impacts here in the Valley. Part of my job is to assess information that comes into our newsroom and to make timely and accurate decisions about if that story or event is newsworthy. Part of that process is being able to listen to police, fire, and other communications, including those that for many years were provided us on the Erica radio system. This information is critical for us in the media to know the right questions to ask before we dispatch crews to the area. It has been feared that the media could potentially release confidential information reported over the scanner. But what has not been addressed until now is the process that news departments use before reporting events to the public. We never report the scanner, ever. This is our golden rule: hear it, then confirm it. Confirmation is very important to us, so we can not only report the events, but also communicate to our crews and the community any potential dangers that could exist before we even send a crew to the scene. Before we report anything to the public, we always check with the appropriate party, like a police PIO, a watch commander, and sometimes even from the scene. Journalists are trained to be ethical in our reporting. We understand that we have access to confidential information that is sometimes released over the Erica radio systems, and the fear is that we would report what we hear, and a city may lose its rights to CLETs. But that could be further than the truth. We vet carefully the information we receive, and that includes the scanner traffic. So I'm here today just to hope that you guys will restore the media's access to the Erica radio system. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Tarpening. Our next speaker is Dan Adams.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. As most of you know, I'm Dan Adams with NBC Palm Springs, and I'm speaking pretty much like Rich did as well to address the importance of keeping the public informed on what goes on in our community during a time of emergencies. And one of the best ways that we can do that is the ability for the local newspapers and our television stations to address the public when we found out about something extremely important happening in our community. Prior to coming to the Coachella Valley, I was a reporter for ABC and CBS in Northern California, in Sacramento, and San Francisco. And during that time, it was very obvious how important it was to have a relationship between local law enforcement and the news media. And it works both ways, because the news media can serve law enforcement, and law enforcement likewise can serve the news media. It worked kind of hand in hand. We've always had that relationship before. So it's become somewhat puzzling that there's been a divide that's developed here in our area with regards to the radio situation. I want to go back to October 17th, 1989. Some of you might not have been around back then because you're too young, but October 17th, 1989, San Francisco. Candlestick Park, the Giants playing the Oakland A's. And at 5:05 this afternoon, I was about ready to go on the air with a live report when the Loma Prieta earthquake hit. And those of you who were there remember what a devastating earthquake that was. Electricity was out, everything went out, telephones went out. We were able to stay on the air with an emergency generator, as were some other radio and television stations. And the communication lines were pretty much cut. The thing that did work were police scanners, police radios. So immediately, we were able to hear the Bay Bridge has collapsed. The Highway 17 between San Jose and Santa Cruz was shut down. Cypress structure collapsed. We were able to get information on the air, life-saving information immediately because of the police radios, hearing the information that came through on them. So it's imperative that, especially in times of disasters, that we're able to get that information in a timely manner and relay it to your constituents and the people who live here. I know I'm over my time, but just briefly, Valentine's Day, we had somewhat of a test of that system. The flooding that occurred here, our police department did the best they could, but they were so overwhelmed. The information that we got from them with regards to emergency evacuations and flooding didn't come until well after the events were over. Most of our information that we got were from phone calls from our viewers, and I think the same was true at KESQ, that we didn't have that information from the police department here. We know that we're going to face a big disaster here. There's going to be an earthquake that hits our valley. And when that happens, there's not going to be Twitter. There's not going to be Facebook. There's not going to be telephone service working. The way that we're going to be able to get information out is from the police department giving it to us through their scanners mostly, and then through the broadcast stations and television, radio, and to some extent the newspaper. So I ask you to think not what's best for KESQ or NBC Palm Springs or the Desert Sun. What's best for your constituents? Especially in a time of emergency and disaster. How can you best serve them in getting emergency information out if we are cut off from the source that we have to get that information out? Thank you.
Thank
and
you,
if you have
Mr.
any
Adams.
questions, feel free to ask them.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Mayhew, do we have anyone else who wishes to speak? Theoretically, 2 minutes.
That's okay. All right, we're going to have to restart the clock. I have 5 more seconds. Actually, I didn't even prepare a full statement for you. I came to support Rich and obviously the members of the media that come here. But I do want to address this panel because I really do appreciate you listening to us and appreciate you listening to our impassioned plea to help the community, help the constituents, as he had brought up. I think it's truly important that we have this cooperative relationship so that in times of public safety, we, as the news media, are able to disseminate the information to the people. I know that there are avenues for the city of Palm Springs or some of the other cities that are involved in ERICA to be able to communicate some of this emergency information. But I have to say that the power of our voice, I think, can only amplify that so much more, and I'm sure that you've seen that throughout our coverage. So I do appreciate you listening to our pleas on this, and I do appreciate you reconsidering this and trying to determine what is the best for the people of Palm Springs. I know that the discussion of the access to the CLETS information is one of the topics that's very sensitive on the decision here. And I just want to reiterate that there's no point in which any of us in our news stations are actually able to access or look into this CLETS information. So just as you're considering it, please think about that part of it. I know there's been a good amount of other points brought up, and I do agree with a lot of those. But I just wanted to bring that up as well because we're not looking to break any laws or put the cities in a situation where you're going to be, in jeopardy for a lawsuit and that's not our goal. Our goal is really probably the same as yours, is to serve the people of Coachella Valley and Palm Springs. Thank you. And I'm sorry if I forgot to say my name. It's Rebecca Johnson. I'm news director over at KESQ.
Perfect timing.
I make time.
Anyone else, Mr. Mayhew?
No other speakers?
Seeing none, we will close the public comments. City Attorney, do you have anything on the evening
Yes,
agenda?
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Following the posting of the City Council agenda last Thursday, the city became aware of the need to discuss 2 items in closed session. The first relates to property negotiations raised after the Thursday posting during conversations with Riverside County. The second item arose after the Thursday posting during negotiations with AEG regarding the convention center. Both require immediate discussion with and possible direction from the City Council prior to the next regular City Council meeting. So staff and the City Attorney's Office would ask that the City Council, by motion, add the following 2 closed session items based on the fact that the items came to the attention of the city after the agenda was posted and that there's a need to take immediate action. The two items are conference with real property negotiators, Government Code Section 54956.8. And by the way, I've provided this information to the city clerk, so he doesn't have to type this up right now. A property address, the former boxing club property, 225 South El Cielo Road, Palm Springs, California, 92264. Agency is City of Palm Springs. City negotiator is David Reddy, city manager. Negotiating parties, Rob Field, County of Riverside EDA. Under negotiation is price and terms. And then the second property address is the Palm Springs Convention Center at 277 North Avenida Caballeros, Palm Springs, California, 92262. Agency is the City of Palm Springs. City negotiator is David Reddy, city manager. Negotiating parties, AEG Facilities LLC, and under negotiation is price and terms. So if it would suit the council, we would ask that you make a motion and approve that action item.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. We will add these additional two items.
Thank you.
Do we have, Dr. Reddy, anything else for the agenda? Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we will adjourn to closed session. Thank you.